a moment in our history. In 1851, a doctor named Samuel Adolphus Cartwright sat down and wrote a paper that would become one of the most revealing documents in American medical history. He claimed he had discovered a new mental illness. He called it Drapetomania, from the Greek drapetes, meaning a runaway, and mania, meaning madness, the disease causing enslaved people to run away. This was not satire. It was not a thought experiment. It was published in the New Orleans Medical and Surgical Journal. It was presented at the Medical Association of Louisiana's annual meeting. It was peer-reviewed, cited, and taught. Cartwright argued that enslaved people who attempted to escape were suffering from a form of insanity, that the desire for freedom in a black person was a psychiatric symptom, that running away was not an act of resistance, it was a medical condition requiring treatment. His prescribed cure was whipping. He wrote that whipping the devil out of them was a preventative measure. He recommended keeping enslaved people in a childlike state of submission, and that any slaveholder who treated them as equals was creating the conditions for the disease to spread. He also invented a second condition, dysesthesia ethiopica. He said it caused laziness, what he called rascality, and a dulled sensitivity to pain. The treatment, forced labor under the direct supervision of a white man. He described this as therapeutic. Cartwright was not a fringe figure. He was a respected physician in the antebellum South. His work was published in DeBow's Review, one of the most influential Southern periodicals. It was reprinted. It was discussed in medical circles. It was used in legal arguments defending slavery. The logic of Drapetomania was elegant in its cruelty. If freedom is a disease, then slavery is the cure. If resistance is mental illness, then the system is therapy. The slaveholder is not an oppressor, he is a doctor. The plantation is not a prison, it is a hospital. This is what makes Drapetomania important, not as medical history, but as a case study in how power uses language to make oppression invisible. You don't just chain someone's body, you redefine their desire for freedom as evidence of their unfitness for it. In the North, Cartwright's paper was mocked. Frederick Douglass's newspaper called it absurd. Medical journals above the Mason-Dixon line rejected it, but in the South, it circulated as serious science because it told slaveholders exactly what they wanted to hear. This is the pattern. When a system of control needs justification, it turns to science. It turns to language. It creates a vocabulary that makes the victim the problem and the system the solution. Drapetomania was debunked, but the framework it built, pathologizing black resistance, survived the abolition of slavery. It survived Reconstruction. It survived Jim Crow. It is still operating today. In the 1990s, the term super predator entered political language, describing black youth as genetically prone to violence and beyond rehabilitation, a psychiatric framing of an entire generation used to justify mass incarceration. Black children who resist classroom authority are diagnosed with behavioral disorders at rates far exceeding white children displaying the same behaviors. The school-to-prison pipeline is Drapetomania with a different prescription pad. When black communities organize, the FBI calls it a threat, black identity extremism. When black people demand equity, it's called reverse racism. When they protest, they're diagnosed, not heard. The language changes, the function does not. Samuel Cartwright looked at a human being running toward freedom and saw a disease. The system he served needed that diagnosis, because if freedom is natural, then slavery is the crime. And if slavery is the crime, then every institution built on it has to answer for it. They didn't just enslave the body, they tried to enslave the diagnosis. And when someone ran, when someone refused, when someone fought, they called freedom itself a disease. The disease was never real, but the framework, the instinct to pathologize black resistance, is still running, still diagnosing, still prescribing. Save this, share it, teach it. They won't, so we have to. Until the next story. Peace.